This is Jaden, and a few weeks ago, he was stabbed on the streets of Croydon. Jaden's not his real name, and we're not going to identify him. But last week, he was caught with a knife. And in the morning, he'll appear in court. The thing is, Jaden is just 13 years old.
I'm frustrated that you didn't call me, you haven't said anything about it. And I had to find out from the Youth Offending Service.
He's meeting James, his community worker.
What are the charges now?
2 knife offences.
Is it?
Yeah.
Carrying or robbery?
No, carrying.
Do they reckon that you might get a prison sentence?
Caution.
And the knife incident, what happened?
Just wrong time, innit? Wrong time, wrong place.
Wrong time, wrong place. It is the killer combination. And there's another big problem here. Jaden isn't going to school, and that's putting him in huge danger. James calls it passa, slang for trouble.
Bro, I want you to just get your head down and focus on the school, because all of this stuff, every time you're out of school, you're just at risk of getting in more passa.
True, still.
Do you know what I mean? Look at all of the young, everyone that we know, all of the other young people, they're just out here doing madnesses because they're not in school.
Welcome to Croydon, South London, one of the most dangerous areas of the capital to grow up in, where public services have been decimated and where the council is effectively bankrupt, and where children carry knives and they aren't frightened to use them.
We have children that come here to mourn every day. They've become so desensitised to knife crime, but their journey on the morning, their journey into school, their journey home, their journey in the shopping area is resulting in them having to grieve the loss of a loved one. That's a big thing. This isn't normal. It's not normal. It's not right.
And kids who turn their back on school, in particular, are easy pickings for the gangs.
I think a lot of the older gang members sometimes target young people that aren't in school or aren't in education because they see them as somewhat vulnerable and need attention sometimes, need to feel like they belong because they've been kicked out of school and are almost outcasts to normal society, and they're targeted sometimes.
The number of children regularly absent from school is double what it was before the pandemic. The government has been accused of making little or no progress in getting that number down. This is Josiah. He tells me he skipped loads of school last year.
In secondary, I just had the worst time in year 11. I just wasn't coming in. I was more or less, I wouldn't say frightened, but anxious to come in because of how my school was operating. And I saw the temptations of just like not waking up because of how like tired and how rubbish I felt of being in that school or being a part of it.
What's the risk for people like you, youngsters like you? What's the risk when they start to drop out of school living somewhere like Croydon?
I feel like the risk is more of grooming, because once you step outside the house and you're not in school, they're going to understand that you don't want this life, and they're going to start taking advantages. So they're going to want to get you into this life, into this game.
And that could have serious consequences in the years to come. The Centre for Social Justice says soaring absence rates could produce nearly 10,000 more young offenders in the next 5 years, if left unresolved.
A classic election issue is law and order and crime. And the CSJ has spent the last year going across the poorest communities to find out what are the biggest issues going. And crime is there, bang in the middle of it, bang in the centre of it. And right now you could do something about that by getting some of these young people back into school.
So you're saying that in a couple of years' time, we might see a sort of crime wave?
Yeah, 100%. We're storing up ourselves loads of problems here. We need to get on top of this issue, and we need to get on top of it quickly. This is the whole ball game, this issue. This is our future generations. We've got to wake up to this, and the ticking time bomb has already gone off.
Children permanently excluded rarely return to mainstream school. They often end up in segregated settings called pupil referral units. Some disappear altogether. They are the so-called ghost children.
They're very vulnerable. A lot of them now don't attend school at all. They end up refusing school, so they're just on the streets. They've got nothing to do. They've got too much time on their hands. They've got no money, so they look for methods of making money. and it becomes a downward spiral. And I think school exclusions tend to be the kind of beginning of that downward spiral. It starts from there. There are pupil referral units popping up all over the place to accommodate all the children that are being excluded. So yeah,
it seems like the system is collapsing for a lot of children.
100%. Yeah, it's definitely collapsing. I think the education system is so old and out of date, it doesn't meet the needs of today's children.
How many schools have you been kicked out of now?
What, mainstream schools?
Yeah.
2.
Okay.
Jaden is at a crossroads in his young life. He could sink deeper into trouble, or he could find a route out. It is the lottery of his life. Nick Martin, Sky News, Croydon.